Hi, it's Arit here. Welcome to another video on the Estetino Artist channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you some of my tips for how to make a worksheet look good. So I've been designing worksheets. I've designed hundreds of them over the past few years for coaches and educators, change makers, course instructors. And I am also a course instructor myself, so I understand the power behind having worksheets that students feel good when filling them out. I understand the power behind having visual assets that bring out the lessons learned when someone is taking that activity or, following through with taking action on the material that they just learned. So there are certain things in worksheets that make them feel good, that make them purposeful, meaning they actually fulfill the purpose that you intend them to fill out. For me, it's not as simple as asking questions on a piece of paper and having the students fill it out. It's all about the experience. So in this video, I'm going to show you some examples of what I've designed that to really help you see the difference between what a worksheet isn't and what it is. So let's get started. Let's take a look at this example here. So you might already have a Word document of your text ready to go with what you want your worksheet to have, what text you want your worksheet to have. So this was kind of sent to me in this way in a Word document with a title, some, preliminary text, and then starting to get into the activity of certain questions being asked. So I took this Word document and turned it into this worksheet right here that you see in front of you. So how does this come out of the Word document? It really comes down to knowing what points you want to highlight and also giving enough room and space to breathe for people to actually be able to fill out the questions that you're asking them on the worksheet. So for this particular one, I used visuals quite sparingly. You can see here more so as icons rather than all over the place. Contrasting colors are really, really important. If you have your own branding color palette, you might already have this, but if you don't, just go to Google, type in a color that you like, let's just say it's red, and then type in red color palette or red color combinations. And what you'll see under the Images tab is a bunch of different color palettes of colors that look good together with red. So if you don't already know what colors look good, contrasting colors, that's a great way to find that. But if you do, make sure you use those contrasting colors and also use fonts that highlight certain important words. So of course the title is important, so we used a big bold font. This worksheet, by the way, is it's within a kid's workbook, a grader. It's like over 20 pages of the workbook. So that's why everything is quite colorful as you see it here and playful. So we use this kind of paint-like font to highlight all of these certain headings as well as this acronym here. So certain important points. There's even a subheading font like you see here with secret strategy number 1 and kindness is contagious. This is a second font that also brings out those certain important pieces within the worksheet. Then the regular text is just easy to read, clean body text, and also the questions are in the clean body text as well. So I segregate it like this into two columns because we have an information section where it's just paragraphs of words, and we have the activity section, which is on this side. If I had laid it out, at the top with all of this text, it would have been too much text all at the top, and then, a few lines, not very much room for people to fill out on the bottom. So you want to arrange your worksheet in a way that's easy to digest. And by segregating your big paragraphs of text together, and then segregating your activity pieces together, it really makes it easier to navigate. I'll show you another example. So this worksheet here was already handed to me. It's already designed a little bit. You see here, it's not bad, but they had gotten this designed and wanted me to turn it into something better. So this was the original, and then this is the after. So what did I do differently here to make this worksheet really stand out? It's actually not so much an activity worksheet as it is like an infographic a little bit. So here's the differences. Again, highlighting certain pieces of information. So you got to ask yourself, what are the important points in your worksheet that you're trying to design? What words or maybe they're figures, numbers, quotes, what do you want to stand out? Bring that out on the worksheet. And then use that accordingly, bring it out in different ways, because each of those things that you want to highlight will be highlighted in different ways, with colors, with different fonts, perhaps with visuals. Like you see, I've included some icons here. And you also notice that there's a ton of information on this page. So I had used arrows that kind of navigate and, show where the eye can look, because there's just so much information on here. You can see here there were also big blocks of text, and they didn't really, it's just text, like it's not easy to read, and there's certain figures here that I had pulled out and made those numbers more important by putting it in this green contrasting colored strip here. And also there were certain things on the worksheet that it wasn't arranged as I would have liked it. So there was the logo up here, and then they had introduced themselves with an image here, and then they have a contact us section here. And to me, all of that stuff kind of falls under the about us, contact us area. So all the logo, the image, all that stuff should be on the bottom after they've viewed the top of the worksheet here, which is why I just put it all together. So it's really also about organization. So organize your worksheet in a way that makes sense and that is on purpose. You don't want to, unless you're designing an intro page, in which case you might want to have your image, like for example, I'm just going to show you this one here. Like for example, an about the author page. This is another one that I had designed. If you have something like this, then by all means, put your image front and center over there. But if you're trying to use your space wisely and you have a ton of other information on the page, then you can kind of minimize the importance of having your image there and just kind of put it on the bottom, because you really want people to dive into all of this other information so that they can get value out of your worksheet. And guys, I do have a few more available spots to take on more clients for design work. So if you want help in designing your worksheet, I'm happy to help. I'm going to put my email address in the description below. So feel free to shoot me an email, send me the Word document or whatever your before looks like, and we can work together to come up with a great solution for you. Another important question to ask yourself is, what is the vibe of this worksheet that I want to communicate to others? So in the first example that I showed you, it was playful, right? The purpose of this worksheet was, for my client, it was that she wanted it to be fun, because that's the kids are filling this out. So she wanted it to be fun, to be engaging. So that's why we added these little icons and movement. You can see I tilted some of the boxes here. That just kind of creates more movement, and a cute little image here. That was the vibe, and that was the decision making behind the certain fonts that I went with, and the colors as well. For this one over here, it's very informative, right? It has like a not an authoritative vibe, that's not the word I'm going for, but a very insightful vibe, very like reference material, which is why we went with clean and very clear block fonts, as well as clean and thin, smaller text for the paragraph type of text. If your audience is someone like this right here, this is one of my clients, Caitlin. Her audience is primarily females, female entrepreneurs. So we went with a very feminine kind of vibe. You can see here this background border. It's very fun and feminine, as well as the kind of the handwriting that you see here, those fonts as well. Notice the contrasting colors again. It really makes a big difference. The vibe of this worksheet here was just cutting out all of the fat. They wanted a super minimalist daily planner, just super simple. They had given me a green color to work with. So I had gone and found just a contrasting color that's not white, but something that is softer like that to again go with the minimalist vibe. And I had, it wasn't, I didn't have enough room to put these headings like wins, grateful, work on the top of these boxes, because I wanted to give them more room to actually be able to write, so I could spread these out a bit more. So that's why I ended up putting the text on the side here. You got to kind of get creative in a way and find these little creative solutions to using up your space, but to still having enough room to breathe so that people can fill out and write their text in there. So that minimalist planner is actually different from this one here. This is another kind of planner tracker, daily actions tracker that I had designed for Cece, and it's not really minimalist. It's very sophisticated, and there's a lot more going on as well here. So again, I had put a quote here to make it feel more personable. There's the logo here with the emphasis on the heading. So just making it feel more with the branding. Her branding is black and gold, so we implemented more of that. So it's very, it depends on the vibe that you're going for. Another creative way of allowing your audience to have more space to write within your worksheet is actually turning it into an electronically fillable PDF. So you can see here with this permission slip that I had designed for a client, it's really about them writing out a bunch of stuff on these lines and signing it, right? It's a permission slip. And we didn't know how much they were going to write. This is something that they can, write a lot about. So I actually turned it into an electronically fillable worksheet for her so that they can sit here and write as much as they want. They can actually fill up this entire box and then some and keep going. So this is another way to just allow them to write as much as they want. You can do this in smaller paragraph boxes as well. So this is something I can do as well. I can turn your PDF worksheet into a fillable document. If you're interested in that, again, shoot me an email. I'll put that in the description below. And lastly, before I let you go, this is a workbook that I had, a training program guide that I had designed that kind of brings in all of these elements that we just talked about together with contrasting colors, use of images and icons, and highlighting certain pieces of text. So I wanted to show you how this all comes together. Again, this is something that she sent me in a Word document, but using different visual placements and different blocks of color and images and icons, we had really spruced it up, and that's what makes something like this feel good when you fill it out. It feels personable. It's like it's my guide, and you want people to have that connection to the worksheets, the workbooks, the guides that they're filling out, because it makes it more of their own. And when they have that connection to it, they're more likely to follow through with whatever it is that you taught them, to follow through with whatever it is that they've written down within those guides. So let's summarize. Number one, use contrasting colors. As you see here, purple, white, looks good. Number two, use images sparingly. If you have images, definitely put them in, but if you also want to prioritize enough space for people to write in your book, then all you need to do is just use little icons or blocks of color, or different styles of borders, as well as different fonts and sizes of fonts, to bring that visual element in other ways without actually using a picture. Number 2, give people enough space to write. Super important. Space out those lines with enough room for people to write. And also consider making your worksheet fillable if you want them to be able to write even more than what the worksheet actually gives them space for. And lastly, play with emphasizing certain words, or in this case, letters. As you can see here, there's the acronym SMART, setting up a SMART goal. So we brought that out even more, emphasized those letters and what they stand for. There's different ways of bringing out, for example, I'll show you another one here. Dear future client, also made as a separate font to bring it out and let people know that this is a personal letter to them and what they're about to embark in within this guide. Any quotes that you want to use, make them italicized like you can see here, and highlight them with a different color background, or as you saw over here as well, use different boxes or elements, even put a little quotation mark icon to bring that out even more. So that is it for this video. As I mentioned, I am happy to help with any design of worksheets, guides, lead magnets, even social media graphics, anything that you're looking for to really create stunning visual assets for you and your business. I'm happy to help with. The email's in the description below, and please do leave me a comment and like this video if you found this helpful. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.